Hey, this is Drew checking in once again from Not Your Average Dad. You know, I tell you, I come from all over the place and I'm going all the way to Omaha, Nebraska. I came here to be a tribute to Mitch Minor, father of mine, and I just wanted to take time to sit down with Carl. Carl is a founder of CW Boxing and has been a long living legacy of the boxing here in Omaha. And I thought there's no one better than Carl to talk about Mitch Minor and what he meant to Omaha, and more importantly, what he meant to boxing. So Carl, if you could start us off telling us how you got started with CW Boxing.
Well, basically I got started with CW Boxing Club. I started in the basement of my home with a couple of kids, Stevie Johnson and Courtney Kellogg. I'm trying to think of the third guy. Well, anyway, they were fighting outside. And I broke it up and I said, you guys want to fight? You come back tomorrow, I'll show you how to box, you know. So they came back the next day and I took them down to my basement and we started boxing. I started working with them at boxing. Then the neighbor next door, Kenny Mitchell, he wanted to learn. Then the Evanses up the street, they wanted to learn. So all the kids in the neighborhood decided they wanted to start learning how to box. At one particular time back in 1978, I had about 50 kids from the neighborhood, all from the neighborhood.
Wow.
You know, in my basement. I even took out the old furnace and put in a new furnace so I can get more room. We started with the basement down there. So we did that for a number of years and traveled all over and got a pretty good reputation, and we did very well.
Well, obviously, your legacy is going to far feed all of this. I mean, the beauty of it, the foundation that you're building, the young men that you're transforming with something that's also one of the things I like to talk about is leadership. And I think there's a lot of leadership, discipline, and also commitment, and also accountability that comes into boxing. And I think you're a good model of that. So I just want to transfer the conversation a little bit to Midge and how he came into this and what he meant for you as an individual and also for boxing here in Omaha.
As my junior boxers started getting older and starting to turn into senior boxers, you know, most of them started with 13, 14. When they started to become senior boxers, we had to go to the Golden Gloves. And at that particular time, it was kind of like cliquish. And so I knew, my brother knew a guy by the name of Snooky Grimes.
Okay.
So he told me to go up to Snooky's gym and have Snooky kind of help me navigate my way through all these other clubs out there because it was a dog-eat-dog. So I went up there to Snooky. I think he had a club on 16th and Manderson, if I'm not mistaken. Took my guys up there, walked upstairs, and I ran into Snooky, and then I ran into Midge, and I knew Midge because my brother hung around Dono all the time. So we started talking, and I think Midge was working with a kid by the name of Eric, if I'm not mistaken. You know, and I was watching him work out, and watching Midge work out. Midge, I call a philosopher. Midge would like to talk you into boxing. You know, why you need to throw a punch, why you need to do this, and why you need to do that. You know. Then I started talking with Midge, and we kind of came together. You know, it was the Winning Corner and CW Boxing Club. You know, we used to go up there all the time. They used to come down to my basement, and then we finally moved up to the Fountaindale Pavilion. So I had another place up there because the mayor had donated the Fountaindale Pavilion to us. So we went up there, and as time went on, Midge and Snooky gave up his gym because he didn't want to have a gym anymore, so Midge and Snooky joined my club. And history was made from there. We started, you know, having the champions come out of the club, Billy Kellogg, and I remember he had a kid by the name of Kevin McCoy. Kevin McCoy was one of their first, I think, Midwest champions that they had, you know, back in the days. So we were just like brothers, you know, me, Midge, and Snooky. Went to all the shows together, you know, and I learned how to be aggressive because of them. Because if you're not aggressive in boxing and if you don't express yourself, you'll get walked over. But Midge was the mouth. Midge going to a place, you know, and then people, they, you know, like Dick O'Connor, he was always used to cussing people out. But when we walk in there with Mitch, we put Mitch first.
Yeah.
Because Mitch go in there and cuss everybody out, and everybody would, the seed would part.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know,
Yeah.
so I felt more comfortable. I said, you know, Mitch go in there, instant respect, respect, you know. Snooki, he was like a philosopher. He'd go in there and try to explain everything to you. But Mitch, if Mitch didn't like you, cuss you out, he'd tell you right in front of your face.
Yeah.
You know?
That's one thing.
Yeah.
That's one thing I love about that man is that if he loved you, he gave you a nickname. You might like it or might not. But if he didn't like you, he didn't mess with you.
The
And
worst,
then
one thing you never want to get labeled by Mitch, because it'll stick with you the rest of your life. If Mitch ever called you chicken shit, and it'll stick with you from the age of 9 until you're 64. Some of these guys who walk in here today, older guys, Mitch, he called me chicken shit. You know, everybody thought that was my name.
Yeah,
yeah.
You know, I remember when we had his memorial here, and I think one of the things I said something similar to what I just said now, is that you could tell he loves you when he gave you a nickname. So all the boxers that came up to say something about him, they all said their nicknames that he gave them. So it just shows how much strong black men are needed in our community, and especially ones that show up in a way that we hold each other accountable. And I just want to say thank you for that. I thank you for that, because it spreads. Because of Midge and because of you, more black men are willing to show up and be the voice.
Yeah, if it wasn't for Midge, there wouldn't have been no CW. You know, because basically he was my backbone. You know, and I understood it when he wanted to go with Bud and Bo and them, because it was just a progression. You know, and that's, you know, we all still tight now, but a long time ago I kind of regretted it a little bit, because I didn't think that they treated him right, you know. So, but that's water under the bridge. You know, so.
Yeah. But I just really want to say thank you for your time and like opening up these doors. I mean, today is Friday. Gym is closed. Normally you have a whole plan for your evening, and you took time out for me, and that means a lot. And I just didn't want to lose this moment, because I feel that his name is kind of falling off to the wayside a little bit, and I just want to bring that back, because I know how much he did for this community, and I know how much he did for me, and I want that legacy to continue.
Well, if you walk into this, you can't walk in this door without seeing Midge there, without seeing Midge here, and then you're gonna see Midge out front there, you know. So, you know, and you know, I think Midge is down there too.
Yes,
So.
This great exhibit that you have here, there's multiples of exhibits. He's created more walls just because of all the memorabilia that he's collected over the years, all the great boxers, all the great legends that came through this gym. And you're just holding on to those memories so other boxers can see, hey, the hard work is worth the work.
Yeah.
And so I'm gonna just cut it at this point, but is there anything that you want to say before we go?
Well, you know, a lot of people thought that we made millions and millions of dollars, you know, but we were hand and foot all the time. You know, we had to struggle. We had to sell raffle tickets.
Yes.
You know, we sold raffle tickets all the way until last year, you know, so, but we still were able to do all the things that we needed to get done, you know.
And I'll second that. And I'm glad you mentioned that, because these great things don't happen for free, because even if you're doing good things for young men, it still has a cost. You have to pay for gas, you have to get them there, you got the vans, you got to keep the heat on in here, you get the lights on. So all those things come with a cost. And the sacrifices you made to make this happen is very remarkable.
Another thing I said, there hasn't been a week gone by where someone hasn't came in and asked about Midge. At least every week someone comes in. And I don't even recognize them, because, you know, they're a lot older. Some of them guys, I think some of them are in their 60s now, you know, and they're older guys now, you know. Like, some of these guys like Red and all them guys, they're